How's it going, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the Real AF TV podcast, the show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm one of your hosts, Josh LaBaw.
And I'm the other host, Tim Wagner.
I almost ran.
And that sounded like we planned it.
That one actually went well.
Boom,
I started stepping on you saying that. I almost ran out of breath on that one. I did not prepare.
Just holding the breath for the 10-second count in. I got to bring this one up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I went full sitcom dad and zapped the shit out of myself the other night.
No way, dude. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Hey, if you didn't know, this is the Real AF TV podcast where we talk fishing in the front half and we talk random take in the back half. And sometimes we just banter our way into things. We're going to get into fishing news in a second, but Tim is going to get into how he zapped his ass onto the floor, Tim Allen style.
No, I was already on the floor. Here's the crazy part. I'll tell you, here's a little forewarning for everybody so you guys can learn from my mistakes. Yeah, did you know that dishwashers are hardwired in? I didn't know dishwashers are hardwired in. Every other appliance I have plugs into the wall. Washing machine, fridge, microwave, stove, everything has a plug-in. So I'm assuming that the plug-in is in the back, and I'm trying to pull this dishwasher out because it's making a weird noise. So I'm trying to troubleshoot and figure out what it is so I can try to stop this noise from happening. So I'm going to pull
it out, thinking that you're going to find a cord that you're going to just unplug.
I'm pulling it out, and it's not even that far, and it's not moving. So I'm like, it's got to be stuck on something. So I like put my hand underneath it to pull it. Well, in hindsight, later on, I figure out that it's hardwired in, and there's a hole in the like metal. There's like an access panel to get to these wires, but
of course,
the wires come through behind this access panel, and then it has like those wire nuts, that you kind of screw onto stuff.
Where you connect the two wires is probably the live wire to the internals of the dishwasher.
So when I finally killed the power, because I'm really good about electrical stuff, like I don't mess around. I always cut the power, but I was just trying to move this thing. I wasn't trying to fix anything.
Right.
So I pull it out, and the wires strip out of those nuts, and it falls like onto my finger is what I figure out later. So I completely disconnected, and the live 110 or 120 volt wires fall onto my fingers. And I have like, it was a blister, and now it's just like, it's dried.
You gotta come over to YouTube and see the video.
It's
just a burn mark, dude.
It was a white blister. No, it was, well, now kind of. It's like it was a white blister, but it's healing now. So now it's like scabbing over or something, but it was a white legit blister.
Holy shit.
And I say I went full sitcom dad because I'm down there and I'm laying on the arm that gets zapped. So I can't pull away right away because it's the part that I'm grabbing onto, it falls onto my fingers. So it like makes my fingers lock up.
Yeah.
So I have to like rotate my body to like pull my arm out from underneath me, but it's like a good 2 seconds. And when it hits, I audibly just go, yeah, like I couldn't stop. And then I just go like, oh, and my wife is sitting over on the couch and she's just like, are you okay? And I just go, I zapped the shit out of myself. And she goes, I know, all the lights dimmed. So that's what I'm saying, like full sitcom dad. I made a noise, I seized up, the lights dimmed, like it's just holy shit. She's like, what do we do? I'm like, I don't know. Google what you do when you electrocute yourself. I'm like, I check my pulse. I'm like, my heart's still beating. I just proceed? Yeah. So we're, obviously, if anybody saw that, if you're watching on YouTube and you saw my finger, like it's healing now. So we're far enough out that
right.
I should be good. Hopefully, right. I don't know.
You're fine. Oh shit, dude, that's a good story. All right. Let's get into the rigmarole and shit. Oh yeah, housekeeping. Let's do housekeeping quick. I'm gonna do it before now. I'm not gonna get out of order. I wanted to jump ahead because of the splits and stuff like that. I've been forgetting to mention it, but I'm going to mention it in housekeeping. Let's get into fishing news. Tim, I didn't even write a crazy headline for this one.
Yeah.
I was just on Outdoor Life and I saw this headline and I was like, Tim, Tim, I got to ask you. 2 50-inch muskies in 2 days. Yeah. They were over 50 to be exact.
Yeah. That's a once in a lifetime fish 2 days in a row.
Yeah, dude.
That's pretty gnarly.
So this Minnesota kid lands 250 over 50-inch muskies in 2 days. It's from Outdoor Life. It was from August 26th. So, it was a little while ago.
Yeah.
But I just want to put when it was published because it was like the week before the publication is when he ended up doing it. 13-year-old Noah Moss. 13-year-old Noah Moss from Aitkin, Minnesota. Aitkin.
Yeah. His friends aren't going to believe him.
No.
He's going to go back to school and just be like, I caught 2 50-inch muskies like a day apart. I caught one day and then one another day.
Yeah.
They're just going to be like, oh, yeah, cool. or they'll show him that hopefully they look a little bit different where he shows the picture.
So I didn't see photos of both of them. They had photos of one of them because how it worked was Noah went out with his Uncle Dave Ettenberg. Oh, man, this is we have this name. Like we totally grew up with this name. Eckenberg. Either way, he went out with Uncle Dave, right?
Uncle Dave, perfect.
Yeah, he went out with Uncle Dave. They were on Lake Platnagen. I don't really know where that is.
That sounds... Yeah.
Platnagen?
You're right there real close. Like I've heard that it sounds close.
Plantagenet.
Yeah, whatever.
Janet.
It's close.
So they're out on Lake Platnagen.
Yeah.
Right, there we go. And kid gets his they're up there for a whole week. It's just what they do. The family goes up for a week, right? They're just talking about it. They're telling the story. Like in the article, they're telling the story. Yeah. And he's like, maybe you'll catch your PB crappie this week,
Oh, yeah.
Catches it first couple days up there. So then, okay, Uncle Dave, will you take me muskie hunting? Yeah. Dad's in a boat not too far down the way.
So he caught his personal best crappie?
He caught his PB crappie in the first couple days at the cabin.
Damn. So then he's like, let's shift gears.
Yeah, dude. Hell, and he has to go out on the boat with Uncle Dave there. And his dad's out on a boat not too far away. So they're freaking out, right? Like Dave and Noah are freaking out because Noah's pulling in a monster. So dude. Dad comes over, helps him get in the boat, helps take the photo and stuff like that.
Right.
But he was on a whole different boat. But of course they're making such a ruckus. And this is all on Tuesday. They pull in a 51 3/4 muskie.
That's insane. I can't believe the kid's 13.
Right?
That's nuts. I wonder what he was throwing. I wonder, did it say that? Did it have
No, so they didn't have any tackle on there, but they did say that he's good. He's a good fisherman because he's on the Aiken bass team.
Okay, so he's got some muscle built up for doing that kind of stuff. I guess 13's not crazy young, but he's not that big is what I'm thinking is like.
Yeah, I mean, think about it.
Throwing muskie stuff all day is a lot. And like, especially after you catch a 50-incher to like get back out there, I suppose like you get one and you're hooked. Like, I want that again. And then he actually gets it again.
Yeah, so they go out on Wednesday. Uncle had been watching the spot that got windblown.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I don't know, we'll just go throw there. And sure shit, dude. Noah sinks into another one, pulls it up 54 inches.
That helps a lot for the uncle to just be like, well, if he's on the bass team too, they're probably both together just being like, oh yeah, windblown point. Like here's,
You think
Like,
that Noah's learned that on the bass
that
team?
and the uncle, like active bass will set up on points like that and stuff too. But I've always said, like, and I think a lot of people have, like, the Muskie's not nervous about anything else. He's the king shit.
Oh,
She's the
yeah,
king
yeah, you've
shit, whatever
mentioned
the
that before.
sex
I get what you're
is.
saying. Mhm.
It's just setting up wherever it wants to. Like, if it thinks that that's where the fish are going to be, it's just going to set up where it wants. Like, it's waiting for those fish, and for them to know. I wonder if it was even the same point. Like, that's crazy. That's so nuts.
There was a different
Taka
point for sure because
Taka. Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
like the outdoor life journalist interviewed Dave, Uncle Dave, and he said, "Oh, we pulled up to this point. I'd been watching it and knew that it was wind blowing for a couple days, and so we just started throwing around this point."
Yeah, especially if he knows it's been a couple days. Like, there's definitely, like, everything's been set up for a fish to be sitting there, and patterns are real, man. Like, if you can recreate that, you catch that fish on that point and the wind stays the same direction and everything stays the same, you can just be like, let's try another point. It's very similar. I've
Oh,
had that happen
sure.
when I'm out there fishing and you see the weeds and stuff, and you have a muskie follow you. I've literally just been like, where is this spot in other locations?
Again.
And then went in the lake and, like, got more follows. Like, oh shit, like,
Oh, sick.
it feels so good too when you get it right. Like, there's another one. Like, I went to a different spot in the lake that looked exactly like this one that I just got a follow on, and I got another follow. Like, they're 100% setting up on, like, when you figure out the pattern, you're just like, yes. It's like, it's almost better than catching the big one, just to
Oh,
know,
sure.
like, this is what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is I couldn't figure out what lure they wanted. I
You
couldn't get
couldn't
them to
actually
come.
find out what they wanted to put
Yeah,
in
I
your
couldn't
mouth.
get them to commit. Like, they were curious, and they followed my stuff to the boat,
Right.
but they never actually ate. And figure eighting does not work on that lake. Figure eight is
Shit.
like when you put the rod in and you do a figure eight, and I think some of the dingier water it works. I've tried on every single fish I've ever had follow in, and I've never got one to bite on a figure eight. So
that sucks.
Water's too clear.
Also, so it's Dave Eichelberg. It's totally Eichelberg. I just slowed down here for a second. So Uncle Dave Eichelberg.
Uncle Dave Eichelberg
said, Noah, 13-year-old Noah.
Yeah.
That fish is nearly as tall as you. I made that part up.
It's
right. Probably going to be your personal best for 10 to 20 years.
On the first one.
On Tuesday. And then they go on Wednesday and he pulls a 54-inch out. How wild is that?
I would have laughed so hard if I would have been there, and, like, he would have had the, like, presence of mind to just be like, I'm a man now, Unc. You shut your damn mouth. Just say some stuff like,
right.
Tell me what I can and can't do. Hey, how about you tell me this one? I ain't gonna catch a bigger one. Like, I need some of that good, like, reverse jinx shit. Throw it my way, and I'm gonna go catch another one bigger. Oh exactly. Man, that's so crazy though. Talk about blowing up a spot though.
No kidding, huh?
You catch over 50-inch fish 2 times in the same week. Like, that lake is about to get a lot of muskie pressure.
That thing's gonna get some attention.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just be like, if this 13 good to all those guys, or they'll be scared to do it. Just be like, what do you mean? I can't go on there. That 13-year-old kid got 2 in a row. If I go out there and get skunked, I'm gonna look like a bitch.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's get into the housekeeping really quick. You know, if you don't know, this is a podcast that is independently funded. We have a link to Monster Bass that helps us out. We have a Patreon page that helps us out. We will talk about that later in the break between the two halves. The fish and take this time is going to be the autumn equinox is happening, and I'm starting to panic. I got a question for Tim.
Okay.
And the random take is going to be 2D games, 2D sports games. And we're going to talk about the 3D transition and stuff because we're in a unique perspective where we grew up with 2D into the 3D.
Oh, for sure.
I want to talk about that because that was, I've been wanting to talk about it a lot lately.
Yeah.
Also go to realaf.tv/contact and give us feedback on the podcast. We do talk to you as Jimmy over sending some DMs on I don't know if his name is Jimmy, but I'm just going to say that. But hey, we answer our DMs, Twitter, Facebook.
Oh yeah.
All that stuff and the contact, you send us a contact that sends an email. If you go to realaf.tv/contact, that sends us an email. We see that too. We do respond, we do talk, and we do sometimes talk about them on the show. Like, for instance, I'm trying to keep the random take a little bit shorter, and the front half here we go for roughly an hour. That was criticism. Didn't address anything formal on who did that and all that stuff, but it's not the point. We listen, we address it, we move on. Leave a comment in YouTube also if you want to help us out, and don't forget to share with a friend. We're on iTunes and Spotify. Hey, we just got on Pandora. It sounds like it's hard to find on Pandora, but we're on there.
Yeah, I was able to find it, but it took a little bit. So we are on there.
But it's there. It's there. Yes. And actually, I'm going to try to get it on the website here. So if you go there on Monday when the podcast launches, which is a podcast that comes out every other week on Monday. And if you're listening to us on Monday and you don't see the Pandora link on realaf.tv, hit me up at the contact page. Let me know. So anyways, that's it for housekeeping. Oh, and we drop every other week. On Wednesdays, the Fish and Topic split. And on Friday is the random take split over on YouTube. If you want to just listen to that every other week, that is what we do in our off week, for our off week, I should say. But you don't get all that random banter at the front or the fishing news and all the fun that comes with that. So I suggest you listen to the whole thing.
And also, I was looking if anybody was watching on YouTube to see me playing around with my phone. It was because I was trying to find the gentleman who DM'd us. I'm not going to give the full name because I don't know if he wants it. But James. What up, James? Yep.
All right. Anyways, let's get into it. I'm not going to say I'm hijacking this topic because it's not that. And we're not getting into, it's going to be fall fishing. But here's the thing. It's like a combo thing, whatever. Here it goes, Tim. It's the fall equinox, and damn if Minnesota didn't just have a switch flip, man. We had a hot, almost 90-degree day, and we clicked over, and the high was 60 something. We fell into fall. We switched into fall.
Yeah, most likely. Like, I bet there's still going to be some hot days coming up, but that was definitely a cold front, and that might be sticking around. That's how Minnesota is sometimes. You're like hot, and then all of a sudden they're just like, you don't get fall. And we'll all be sweatshirts and coats before we know it without any chance to transition over. There's just like no nice middle ground. Like, can't we go pick some apples? Mother Nature's
with our t-shirt?
No.
So here's my question is I'm starting to panic a little bit.
Yeah.
Because one of my fishing goals is to get a pike. Now, we've talked about pikes enough, right? We've talked plenty about pikes. Now we can get into, other possibilities, and we don't have to sit here. We're not going to sit here and bore the listeners by like planning a trip or something like that. But I have decided now, okay, we flipped over. We got fall going. I'm feeling the pressure to go and catch a pike. And I've decided, you know what? I think Lake Waconia is my best bet. I got family in the area. I can get down there early. I can leave the wife and the kid hanging out with family. Sure. I can get down there. But can I catch a pike from shore, especially this time of year?
Hell yeah.
Oh. You just lifted a huge weight off my shoulder.
Seriously. So one part that makes it a little bit tough when you're fishing a lake is we gotta try to figure out like what you have access to, like what,
right?
Like what
But that's why I also said from shore, and that's why I kind of like built it up into this. Is like when I put this title out to, when I put it on the podcast, it's going to say something about like fall pike from shore or something like that.
Right. Yeah. No, you can. A lot of pike. Pike can be in multiple spots in the lake, just like how bass are and stuff.
Okay.
And a lot of times they're in the weeds and they're up shallower. Like I catch pike off the dock on a regular basis in the summer and stuff. Like nothing huge, but casting it out. And we've had some decent ones off the dock, just like throwing out top water early in the morning or whatever. Yeah.
Top water.
And stuff blows off. Yeah, you can. Top water works.
That's what we'll have to get into all that. I keep interrupting. I'm sorry. I gotta let you talk.
Dude,
I can
just totally cool. throw down whenever you got something to say. Jump in. Let's talk about it. Top water catches pike. Pike can eat almost anything, man. Like
they're real aggressive.
Every single
we've
time
talked about how aggressive they are, but
if there's some flash, like I feel like they're almost like on like a barracuda level, but like barracudas are like them times 10. Like if there's some flash, I mean, we talked about it with the freaking GoPro camera. We have footage of the pike hitting the GoPro because as long as there's some flash, and the GoPro had like a shiny plastic on it, like that's kind of
right
the same
in a clear
flash
clear lake, shiny plastic. Sure
because it was an older one with the the GoPro inside that like waterproof case.
Yep. It's back when the GoPro was locked inside the waterproof case. Yeah, for sure.
So you got like a little bit more of a reflection and stuff. But I've always thought that when every single time I see one of those YouTube videos where they're just like, "Can we catch a fish with this lure?" And I'm like, "You can if you're on a lake with pike, for sure." Like and the bass too. Like I think sometimes there's a misconception that pike are hard to catch because they're toothy critters, and I think it just depends on the lake you're fishing. If you're in the right spot, I'm not kidding you when I say that there have been times Lake Shamana, the lake I fish a lot, has an island, and I used a Rapala DT10 one year, and we fished around that island. I just decided I'm just going to fish all the way around the island. I'm going to keep it, like along the weed edge and see what happens. I caught a northern every single cast for like 18 casts straight.
Jesus.
It was nuts. And right there and then I was like, it's time to murder these fucking things. I'm keeping them. I'm eating them. Like, this is ridiculous. I have to do something to get these numbers down. Like I think it's like that on a lot of lakes. As long as you're in the right zone, like that's where they are and that's all you're catching. But I know the bass were there too.
Okay.
The northerns were just more aggressive.
How do you know the bass were there? How did you know the bass?
I just do. For sure, like there's bass on that weed edge. They might not be all around there, but I know that those northerns were not the only fish that were sitting there. Like
they're just faster, more aggressive.
If I slowed it down and I used I jigged a worm, which is what I eventually did do, go back there, I was catching bass and stuff because they don't. The pike will still eat a worm that you're like Texas rig and bouncing off the bottom, basically.
Oh, okay.
But I catch more bass like that.
Yeah.
But I do catch northern on the same stuff. I've used a really heavy jig with a big creature bait. I forget what they call it, but it has like multiple arms. It looks almost like a crayfish, but there's like 4 sets of arms.
Oh.
And it's kind of like a gnarly big creature bait thing, but I've caught real big fish off of it. Like 10-pound northern, like 5-pound bass, like
jeez.
Yeah, it's something about those appendages, and they just think it's so.
Is that what they mean by creature bait? Is like it looks like a critter.
creature bait is kind of like a broad term of anything that's like not quite a real thing. Like there's
Okay.
There's like lizards out there, and there's crayfish, and then there's like stuff in between where there's like
where they kind of blend them.
It kind of looks like a lizard, but it has like crayfish stuff, and like it's just there's soft plastics out there. Like I think, I can't remember who makes it. I want to say it's Strike King has one that looks real crazy, and they call it a space monkey. Like so like the creature baits are just name. Like you just call it whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So, and I think
but that's just a broad term. It's like that's nobody's specific. Like nobody sells a creature bait, really. They just sell, like, how am I trying to say this? It's like anything that doesn't resemble a crayfish, anything that doesn't resemble a shad, you just call it a creature bait, and then they give it the name like Space Monkey.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And it's all stuff that you would like Texas rig or throw on a jig. It wouldn't be like anything that even like closely resembles a fish. Like none of them look like a fish.
Okay.
They all look like some sort of a creature. So they all have like sort of like tentacles or something that like wiggles and multiple appendages. Like just something that doesn't exist in real life. I believe the Rage Space Monkey, I think it is Rage, that has like two little curly arms on the side with like a big flappy tail. Like there's nothing that looks like that in real life, but like when you see it, you're like, it looks like a critter.
Sure.
And that's all those fish need to see. They're just
like something moving like that.
Just a big meal. Yeah. That looks like it will give me energy,
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to real quick just go back to, because I brought barracuda up too. Yeah. The reason I said like it's like a barracuda is like that times 10. They tell you not to wear jewelry when you go in the waters that have barracuda in it, because that flash
really
can lead them to like bite your hand. Like if you have your ring on or you have a necklace, like they'll sometimes hit that stuff. Like they don't care. They're dumb. Fish aren't bright.
Right.
It's just they see that flash and they're like, oh, bait fish, and they fly up and hammer your hand. They're not trying to bite you. They're trying to get that flash because they think it's a bait fish.
Right.
Even though it's clearly on your hand. They're so that's all it takes is just the flash.
But the flash. Like it's blinding to them, and maybe not in the physical blinding sense. Like it's physical, I don't know, but maybe not in the actual like the light has literally flashed and now all they see is white, so they just swim towards it. It's not that. I meant like there's something goes off in their brain. Their brain flips a switch and they're just like, doesn't matter, go.
Right.
Interesting. Like so you think that pike, I mean, from your experience, pike are like that as well?
I think they're a little bit like that, like not as aggressive. Like you can't, especially the big ones. Okay. I think a lot. I think across the board, either the fish are big because they're in an area, because all the fish are different. All the fish have different temperaments, and I think some of them just prefer to like. I've found a bait source over here that I like to go to, and for whatever reason, none of the anglers on that lake are hitting that spot, so that fish might live there forever and never get caught just because nobody's fishing the way he likes to eat.
Right.
Or they're just smart. Not smart in the sense that they're like legitimately like intelligent. They're like just sitting down there and just like, no, I see your bait. No, I choose not to eat it. Like
they're selective.
They're selective, and they see like something's off with that. They see the line. There's something. They've seen another fish get caught, and their instincts are enough that they're just like, like if you ever see some of the videos of the bigger ones sitting there, sometimes they'll like get real close to it and they're just kind of staring at it, like thinking about eating it or not. And then the fishermen will like make the one little tweak that they just like hammer it when it moves.
And then they can't help it.
Yeah, it's something that triggers them where they're just like, no, smash, wiggle in front of me. But yeah, I think that's the deal with some of the bigger ones, that they're just like selected. But the small ones, I think a lot of the small ones are just, that's how they get big fast, is they're aggressive, just constantly eating. And you put something that resembles bait in any way in front of their face, and they're just going to hammer it.
Yeah. Which is, I want to catch an eater, so I'm thinking that's probably the size I want to attract. Like, everything you're saying to me is like, okay, I think I got to throw something flashy, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But
if you want to eat
before we, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you want to eat it, try to get it right at the edge of the cutoff. As I believe it's like anything 24 inches or below, you have to throw it back immediately. Like,
so
try to get that 23 inches. Just having it a little bit bigger makes them easier to clean because they have that Y bone.
Right.
Just where everything's a little bit bigger, it makes it easier to decipher what's bone and what's not. When they're little, it gets a little bit hectic trying to get in there. Or you can keep one of the big ones too. They say like 1 over 36 or whatever. I see people filleting those too.
Yep.
Is it 26?
Yeah. So so I looked it up because again, I really, and so we might have to, off air even, but we'll get into it. Is like, I picked Waconia specifically because again, I'm starting to run out of time, and I'm doing all the math in my head of like, okay, why am I running out of time? What could I do to save time? All this stuff. So I picked it. It's in the North Central Zone, and in the North Central Zone, limits 10. So I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
10 of them.
Isn't that crazy?
No more than 3. 2. Oh yeah, because it's in that north zone.
Chaminade in the northern zone, right? Chaminade has like the special regulations. It's 10 statewide, I believe. Special reg. Yeah, because they want to make it like a trophy fishery.
That's right.
But I'm trying to weed out the small ones.
Right. I'm trying to eat them. So yeah, okay. I looked and I did my quick search through the DNR using the find on the page. Downloaded the regs, uses find, put in Pike.
Yeah.
And Waconia didn't fall into any special regs. It's in the North Central Zone, limits 10. And I'm not going to do that. But it says no more than 2 over 26. And the slot is 22 to 26. Okay. Anything that's in that range, you got to throw back right away.
Yeah.
And 22 to
26. Yeah. See, I think maybe the rules are completely different on Chaminade then, because I thought it was different than that.
Well, you weren't far off, though. I mean,
I thought it was like, I thought it was like 24, and you can keep one that's like over like 32 or something. Like it's, but I'll have to. Probably it doesn't matter. I haven't been keeping northerns this year. I've been throwing everything back, so it doesn't really matter that much.
Right. Yeah. So you're good, but. Yeah, I took these notes just going, okay, 22 to 26 needs to go back 2 over 26. It's like, okay, I'm going to shoot for 26. Hopefully I got to go get a ruler. Got to go get some tape. But here's the thing is if I'm going for, let's just say 26, right?
Yeah.
Which, no more than 2 over 26. So, okay, let's say I get a 26 and a half. Is that going to be the size you think? Because you've been talking about the bigger ones that'll sort of watch and just sit there. And then you've been talking about those smaller ones that'll just snap. I don't even know what a good sized pike is.
26 and a half would be a fun fish to catch. That'd be, that's like a 5-pounder.
So you think this is something I got to kind of trick?
No. If it's in like, it's all about fishing like what you have access to. Like I just looked real quick. The public fishing dock is in a bay where everything is like under 8 feet. It looks like it looks like a shallow area of like the lake.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's probably like denser weeds around there.
Okay.
And that public dock plus other docks next to it are going to attract bait fish. Like that's just what it does. Those docks and stuff grow algae. Mm-hmm. The algae attracts minnows. Minnows attract other fish. Northerns are trying to eat other fish.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, I think if you went out there, so you could throw a sucker minnow on like a big bobber and just wait for the bobber to go down off that public dock. That's a possibility.
Really?
Like for sure. That's a way a lot of people fish for pike is they just get the big. It's like
bobber fish for a pike.
Bobber the size of a softball, dude. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can get that bobber and then just get a big like circle hook and hook a big sucker minnow on, and then just let it swim around. If there's a pike there, he'll come eat it. Most of the time. Yeah, I've caught pike doing that before. It takes a while, but it's like a good like just like let's throw that thing out and like have some drinks. Like you just wait for a while.
Okay,
it's exciting because you know that nothing's gonna pull that down unless it's legit. And all of a sudden, like you're waiting, not really paying attention, and then you look back and you're just like, "Hey, where's my bobber? Where's my bobber? Oh, where's my bobber?" And then you like reel up the slack and just set the hook. Then it ends up being like a small one. And you're like, that was still exciting, but
it's still an exciting moment to have.
Yeah, but you could catch anything like that, you know, like if it's decent size, if it's big enough to eat that minnow, you could catch a big bass fishing like that. You could catch a northern, a dogfish. There's a bunch of different stuff that would eat that.
I never think about that. That's so crazy to hear.
You could catch a big walleye.
About bobbers doing that. Never even crossed my mind.
You could catch a big walleye like that even.
Oh, sure.
But your odds are a little bit less with the walleye because I think those are a little bit more like weary of leaders and stuff. I forget what the water clarity is. I didn't do that much research. I just pulled it up on my lake, the Navionics.
Oh, nice.
That I forgot in the episode where we were talking about, you know.
Right. You're going to have to keep bringing that up. Remember?
That I use it all the fucking time, and I can't believe I forgot it. I just pulled it up right now. But yeah, man, when you're sitting there, or like, I don't know how dense the weeds are because it shows there's a drop off. It literally shows on the Navionics app that there's a drop off not too far. It's like that's in a bay, and like the opening of the bay to the rest of the lake is a drop off, and it says heavy weeds on there.
Oh.
So I don't know if that whole bay is heavy weeds. So I don't know what you can get away with throwing back there.
Yeah.
But like a pike will eat a frog. If you're throwing a frog, like something like super weedless, if you have to throw it on top of there, if you just pop a frog, a bass could come eat that frog. So you could just play around with that.
Get a frog. I think I can. Well.
But I love buzz baits on an overcast day where there's not much wind, or maybe just even a little bit of wind, where it's just a little bit of a chop. Because if the waves are too much, there's too much commotion on the surface for that to work most of the time. Mm-hmm. But one of my favorites is a booyah buzzbait because there's two different blades, and the blades kind of hit each other, so it makes a real unique noise. If you get one blade, it makes a good plop 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 plop. But this one, the two blades kind of hit each other, so it's like this.
There's kind of metal noise added into the spin, sort of like as they kind of tink into each other a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. There's another buzzbait that I've been seeing advertised where, so the buzzbait has a blade on the top that has like flanges. It's almost like fins. So when you reel it, it just goes. It's a pretty fast. It's not like a whopper plopper. That's like a plop 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 plop. Okay. It's like a plop 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 plop, like fast.
It's got some.
But those blades, so it's almost like one bar. It's like a skirted jig almost with a bar that comes out to where you tie it on, and then it goes up, and the blade spins just above that bottom bar.
Oh,
so it's not touching anything normally. But this one, they have like a metal ball on that bar, so that's raised up enough so the blade actually smacks into that ball when it's going. So it must just be like ting, 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 like really making a ruckus. And the advertisements I saw were just like, it's the loudest buzzbait on the market, where I'm fishing clear water most of the time. So I was like, that's not something I think is going to work on Shamina. That's why I like that booyah, because it's like an added extra noise that's different, but it's not over the top. But if Waconia is kind of dirty water, which I didn't think it was. I know we tried ice fishing out there.
It's not super clear every time. So that bay that the public is in is one of them that I used to see the milfoil buoys in back in the day when they had milfoil buoys.
That's thick weeds in there.
I don't know how thick it's going to be anymore, because I know they did do a milfoil cleanup effort in that lake, and that was You got to remember, man, this was mid 90s when I remember seeing those buoys, and they don't put them out anymore. So I don't know if the cleanup effort worked, or if it's just one of those things where you just got to accept this shit now. Like, I don't know.
Well, if there's thick weeds there, man, like if there's thick weeds, there's definitely fish there.
Sure.
The hard part is just trying to figure out how can you fish it. Like fishing a bobber with that, like if the weeds are that thick, like where there's not even an opening, you know, if there's an opening in the weeds that you can have a bobber sit there, then you can get away with that, even if it is thick weeds. But if there's no openings, even, you don't have a lot of options. Maybe put maybe right underneath the dock there's no weeds, and you can have it sit right next to the dock, and there could be fish underneath the dock. But
every time that happens, seems like
there's a lot of fishing pressure on public docks like that, but I don't know how many people are throwing out sucker minnows, you know. So
well, that's a good point. I mean,
but I'm sure there's other
different kind of bait.
Yeah, there's other spots I'm hearing too.
Is I need to go scope this spot still a little bit before.
Well, I looked too. The drop off is like the marina's right there too.
Yep.
I don't know if they would let you fish off of their docks, but
I know. I was wondering that too.
It drops off right there, so there's like a weed edge on there, and then you could go out there with like what I was talking about. Like you could Texas rig a creature bait and just fish the weed edge and see what you catch. There could be all sorts of stuff on that. What does Texas rig mean
again? I don't even.
Texas rig is where you have the weight in front of the bait. It's like, so your creature bait would be on a hook, a worm, like a wide gap worm hook. So it'd be your bait on the hook, and then your weight would be in front of that. So it can move freely on the line. It's like a bullet style weight. It's got a hole through it.
Oh, yeah,
it literally looks like a bullet, and it can slide, or you can put a peg in front of that and peg it. Some people peg the weight, some people don't. It all depends.
Okay.
When you don't peg the weight, like when you're jigging or whatever and you feel it, if you have a little bit of slack in the line and the fish takes it, it doesn't feel the weight. So that's the benefit of not pegging the weight. When you peg the weight, it gives you a little bit more control. Like if somebody's trying to skip stuff underneath the dock or whatever.
Okay.
When that weight is like right on the front and it's not moving, it gives you a little bit more control with casting and stuff. But
you
lose that ability to. But yeah, like a Texas rig like that, or you could put a jig. I've used the Pumpkin Ed jig before for that. And some of the open, like, Pumpkin Ed. I think Edwin Evers, I believe is how you say his name. I think he was the one that came up with that pumpkin head jig. So it's called a Pumpkin Ed.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's Edwin that. Yeah.
Okay. And when you say, like, just so I'm a little bit more clear, because you know how rookie I am at this, that's this whole dynamic that we have going on here, right?
Yeah.
A jig is the same thing that I've ice fished with, essentially, right? Like just a heavy weight with a hook in it, basically, and you just drop them. You just put them. For the people watching on YouTube, it's hard to explain, but like you got a little, I don't know, you got a little thing, and it's got a weight for a head, and it looks like it's got an eye painted on it, and then it's got a nose on it that you put the line through, and then coming off of the head is a hook, essentially. This, when you're ice fishing, most of the time it has like fur on it or some shit. But
so what with the fur on it or whatever, that's called like a flu jig. But the ice fishing jigs are very small compared to the rest of these.
Oh yeah. You're like talking about something that'll actually pull the line down.
Yeah, there are a lot of jigs. Like a jig is a very large category. So, but it's like what you said, it's a weight with a hook, basically. Like they're attached. They're one and the same.
Okay.
You know, like a Texas rig or a Carolina rig, or basically like most of the other rigs are like the hook is separate from the weight.
Yeah.
And there's multiple different kinds of weights and different rigs. But when you're talking about a jig, the weight and the hook are one.
Yes.
So there's a bunch of different, and then there's like bass jigs or skirted jigs where they have the skirt on there as well.
Yep.
Well, and I say bass jigs, there's also like a million different kinds of bass jigs. But like when you're talking like a skirted jig, like that's the most traditional like bass jig that you hear people fishing. But there's so many different kinds of jig heads. So you could put it on like a bigger jig head, like, and then there's swim bait jig heads where you don't like always like let it go to the bottom, but and there's all the different shapes for the different covers. Like a football head is like good for rocks, but not so much for weed. There's like
I'm
heavy
gonna assume
cover.
it's almost like a bullet, but maybe two part.
Nah, it looks like a football.
Yeah, like a bullet, like, but like if you put two bullets together, it makes a football.
Yeah, like two bullets together, but it's sideways. Like it looks like a football, like Stewie's head from Family Guy.
Yes. So you don't rig it through the middle. You don't rig it from tip to tip.
No, it has a hole in the middle still, but the football head jig is just like the shape, like is just supposed to like work on rocks more. Just like heavy cover jigs are kind of more pointed to let you get through the cover, and there's all sorts of shapes and sizes of jigs.
Sure,
but
there is.
It all comes down to a jig is just the weight is already on the hook.
On the hook. Yep.
Yeah. So we can talk about that more off air if you're looking for a specific jig, because I don't have anything.
And we'll probably just get into them further as we get into the Real AF TV.
Oh, for
like as we do more episodes, right? We'll just do a whole jig episode. But so you're making my wheels spin, and one of the ways to rig. Okay, so I got those. Oh shoot. I'm blanking on it right now. I know that you'll help me out, but it's the new power bait.
The Gillies.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Where they're more. Okay. So I got that, and I rigged it with just a hook, but I know that you can rig it with a jig too.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, what do you think? I'm thinking to myself that I would suspect that a pike would hit that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You could Texas rig that. You could do everything that I was just saying. You could fish it like that.
I never thought
like Texas that's not a creature bait, but you could literally fish that like every way you could like
really.
You could fish that every way you could fish a creature bait. Yeah, like a skirted jig would probably be weird. Like the fish might eat it, but it's gonna be a weird looking presentation. Like I don't know why you would put a skirt on a sunfish. Like the skirt would be on the sunfish's face. Right. But other than that, like you could get away with pretty much doing anything. Yeah, Texas rig, where you basically Texas rig is really nice too, because when you hook it, you can bury the hook basically, and then it's a weedless presentation. Like the hook's not going to hook anything.
That's what I was just going to say. I actually, because I was rigging one up and I rigged it weedless, because you can kind of hook it through the front and side, and then you can kind of almost like a frog in a way, where if you get the hook through right and you come back on it. I'll make a video on it. I will. I'll put it up on. It'll be up on Real AF TV here, sometime in the near future. But you can put them. You can put a hook in it, and it's weedless. And so, to Texas rig weedless, huh?
Yeah, you can. So Texas rig, what you would do is you take like a worm hook on a gilly, depending. I forget which size you have, but if it was like a 3-inch gilly, you probably get like a 2-aught hook, and you just take the hook. I should have got a soft plastic. I could have just demonstrated it, but you take the hook and put it through the nose, and then just have it pop out of the bottom, whatever you want the bottom to be. Gilly, I don't think it really matters much, because you're gonna rig it so the fish is on its side,
Yeah.
So you take the nose and you pop it out like a 1/4 inch.
Okay.
You just put it in and then pop it out 1/4 inch, and then you pull the hook all the way through and flip the hook over.
Yeah.
Well, it's in there. So then the hook's the right side up, and then all you got to do is just line up where the hook is and pop the hook back through the back.
Okay.
And then you can just, because the worm hook is curved, so the top of it actually, like the point goes back towards the eyelet. So your line ties here, the point's here, and there's just this gap here where the fish, like if it bites, that's where it's going to get hooked. But when you put that hook back through, all you got to do is make sure the point of that hook is slightly underneath the skin of the soft plastic. You can move your hand right across it. It won't hit it. But when a fish bites,
it squishes the plastic.
It squishes the plastic, and that's when you set the hook hard. It's going to pull it up into its mouth.
Nice.
Yeah, works real nice. Texas rig is probably one of the easier starting ones, but there's a lot of different weedless options out there.
Oh, sure. I bet there are. Well, including the frogs, even like you said. Like I can just get a frog.
But I mean, like if you're talking about trying to fish it on the bottom, you can do a weedless Nico rig, and then there's like all the variations that are basically Nico rigs that are all just basically different placements of the hook.
Oh,
which I don't need to get into right now. But if you're looking for options, like there's the Nico rig and the Tiny Child rig and the chicken rig. Like those are all variations of like very close to the same
thing
way to fish, but they're it's like different placements of the weight and the hook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just taking it all in because also we're not recording this Monday as the podcast drops live. Obviously, it's a pre-recorded show. I'm going to listen back again on Monday and start like letting the wheels turn because I'm not going to get out before then.
Okay.
I'll just, like, here's the deal. I'm doing this now. We're recording this podcast now. It's going to be Monday before I get out. The podcast is going to drop live and I'm going to listen to it again before I get out. And so this is all, you're just making my wheels turn in my head and I'm going to try to absorb it, listen to the podcast again, absorb a second time, and then be like, okay, here's what I should try. Here's what I should get. And then hit you up again. And I'll just text you and we'll report back on the podcast, of course.
That works.
My question with you're saying everything technically and it's great because you've given me tons of options because it was just like, what should I tie on? And here I'm just like, oh, hopefully it just says a spoon and I can just throw a spoon.
You can throw a spoon, but if it's weedy, that's just a treble. That's just a treble hook out in the open. So a spoon's a great way to catch a pike. Yeah. So is the MEPs that I've talked about multiple times on here. Just upsize, just go bigger. The MEPs, literally, once you get out of the aglia, once it gets bigger, it's called a giant killer.
Oh, really?
Giant killers are money for pike. They work for muskies, but they're not quite as big as the muskie killer, which is the next step up. Those are made specifically for muskies. Not specifically for muskies, but they're bigger. And then they keep going. There's a couple of different kinds and stuff, or like different. Yeah, the different kinds. I think muskie killer might be the biggest before you get into like their marabou series. But anyways.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways.
Marabou's a type of bird. Yeah, I had to look into it too when it came out. It's a type of bird that has a specific kind of feather. And they're literally made out of the marabou feathers.
Marabou feathers. Yeah. Sure. That makes sense.
So yeah, but those MEPs work really good. They're super easy to fish too. You just cast them out and reel them in. There's slight different things that can trigger a bite, like changing direction or pausing.
Yeah,
that's a crazy thing too about those fish, that they'll be following, and you can literally like take your rod from one side of you to the other side, just like swoop it over.
And it just makes slight direction whatever change. You're fishing with just shift a little bit because that doesn't have it can't have that big of an effect on the
not that tackle. Big of an effect, but it's like enough that I think of them like dogs sometimes. It's like it's kind of following and it's thinking about getting it, but like if you ran in front of a dog, it's going to chase you.
Right.
You just change that direction and the muskie like gives chase. It was curious, but then you did that one little thing that it fucking
set it off, right? Just fucking set it off in its brain. Just oh god.
Yep.
So you've talked about a couple. This is this isn't the last question. I got more, but we'll keep it within roughly an hour after we started the fishing topic.
Sure.
The top water, the going to the bottom, the setting a bobber, because the bobber you're talking about is just like a big round bobber that has a set I can only let out so much line. Oh, you said it's 8 feet. Okay. So I got a 7-foot rod. I'm going to set this thing to 6 and I'm going to throw it out bobber. Okay, that's the most I can do because we're that kind of bobber, like really setting the depth, no slip.
Yeah, right.
Something like that. That's what I'm thinking in my head. No slip bobber. I'm thinking a real set depth. You've given me so many different options, but now that as we talked about already, the equinox is hit, the temperatures are shifting. The water can't change that fucking fast. But is the fall feed on? Is the temperature changing? Is it the temperature going to change in the lake quickly? Like, what would be the best in your opinion if I get out in the next 2 weeks? Let's just let's just use 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think you just fish like you would in the summer. I don't think anything's changed that much. Like this,
not yet.
There was this cold front that dropped, and if it stays like this, the water temperatures might start changing and stuff. But I don't think it's gonna change anything that much. Like we took the docks out at my parents' place last week, and the water temperature was still 70.
Oh shit!
Like
nice.
2 months before, it was 74 in the middle of summer. So it didn't drop that much,
right?
Yet,
okay.
Yet. So it could happen fast, but the fall feed, I don't think is going to be happening this early. But
okay.
If the air temps get cold fast, and we're looking at like highs of 50s and 60s for a couple of weeks, it might switch stuff up a little bit. But the pike, they're still going to be in those weedy bays. If anything, the fish that are deeper are probably going to move in a little bit shallower right now if it starts to drop.
Hell yeah. That's what I wanted to hear. I mean, if the temperature, but that's what I was hoping you were like. In the end, I'm like, hopefully that would be the case. Like if I actually, maybe the fact that I'm going later gives me a better chance from shore is kind of what I was thinking in my head.
I mean, like when you're fishing from shore, like that's where you're fishing. So you just got to try what you can try. But
right.
When the fall turnover happens, basically like all the water gets to the same temperature. So it's hard to say where they are. And that's what makes it tough when you're trying to figure out where the fish are.
Sure.
But when you're fishing from shore, like it almost makes it easier for you because you don't have to think. It's just like, this is where I'm fishing. I don't have to try to find them. I just have to hope they're here.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like to walk as far down the.
Oh yeah, dude. That's what
as
I say.
can, but I know what you're saying is like, I am limited, and then I'm only going to be able to cast out so far. And if this bay is as steady as it is, I could walk, quarter mile left, quarter mile right of the dock, and I'm still essentially fishing the same thing, right?
Yeah, and they all kind of use like the drop offs as highways to move from like points. Like in the summer they'll move to points, and they'll move like. The movement's different, but like right now, while there's still weeds, like the weeds haven't died off, so they're gonna be on the weed edge still, or they're gonna be like in the weeds deep. So like if you can, I don't know what your accessibility is, like where you can access everything, but if you can get to where the drop off is anywhere, I try to fish that weed edge wherever you're at. There's a good chance, but pike seem to be a little bit different than some of the other fish. Where like, regardless of what I try, I seem to get a bite from a pike. Like, like if I think that there should be a fish there, there's probably a pike there. Like it seems to be that they're just set up there trying to get food. So like if there's any form like, look for life. If you see other life, there's a good chance that there's pike. Like if you're there and you see sunfish and stuff, that's enough.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like watch the surface of the water and there's bugs swimming on it. I'm like,
there might be better spots, but if there's a food source for the pike, then there's a good chance that there's a pike someplace near.
And just try to find the edge, sort of like find the weed edge of where it is, or something like that. Like something characteristic of a pike movement or something like that. Obviously, if there's a school of sunnies, there's no pike around because they would scatter or whatever. But maybe like get past them or find the edge of what they're hiding from or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like they're ambush predators, so a lot of times you don't see them.
Oh,
So they're like hiding in the weeds or whatever. So you just kind of got to get. They do the S curve. Like if you ever get a chance to see before they strike, they kind of get into an S and then they just shoot. They're long, built for speed. So they
essentially.
Yeah, they're built for speed. So they just hammer. They ambush stuff. They hide and wait, and then when something gets close, they know that nothing can run faster than they can. So they just fucking blam.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's a predator, man.
Yeah, for sure. It's 100% a predator. That's like crazy. All it does. Like bass utilize a bunch of different ways to catch prey. They'll ambush prey like that. They'll stalk prey where they just kind of wait, like a muskie or a pike will stalk too, where they just kind of follow their bait. But I think that's more of a muskie thing, not so much a pike thing. Almost every time I catch a pike, it is hard. Like when you get a bite from a pike, it is like dunk, and you're like, holy shit. Yeah, it's like it's pretty. Is most of the time it's pretty obvious when you hit. You get excited that it's something else, but it's almost always a pike. You're just like,
yeah, because it's not like I've never caught pike before, but it's just every time I've caught pike, it's been bass fishing. Every time I caught a pike, it was pan fishing, and the pike took the pan fish. So I shouldn't say caught one, but you get it close enough, and all of a sudden you're like, something's wrong. Never mind. Then you can't deal with it anymore. You don't have to deal with it anymore, or whatever. The pike takes the panfish. Or
that's another thing that happens. Sometimes you get that panfish on and you're fighting it, and it's like it doesn't feel like much at first, and all of a sudden you're just like, I didn't think I had much. Now it's really fighting. It's because you had a panfish, and then the pike came and grabbed it.
Right.
Or the muskie came and grabbed it. I've had that happen before too, and then it spits it, and then it comes in easy. Like I've had it before where I haven't even seen what bit it. But it's like you're reeling in like a pound bass. Like you feel it fighting okay. Then you feel it fighting pretty good. And then you don't feel it fighting that much anymore. And you land it and you're like, that was a weird fish. And then you like, when you land the fish, it has fresh wounds. And you're like, oh, I see what happened here. So
that's crazy, dude.
Those predators are always out there trying to snatch them up. I've had plenty of pike and muskies hit. I think I've had more muskies eat or like try to eat fish that I was already catching than I have had bite my lure when I was trying to catch them. I've
not
landed,
as lucky as Noah, just getting two
right, exactly. Yeah, I've only landed the one. And that was the biggest fish I've ever caught. And I've only landed that one when they bit onto another fish. But I've had plenty of them where you just fight them for a while and then they give up. Because I'm not stopping, he's not stopping, and then eventually he's just like, this small northern's not worth it. And they just
right.
And I don't think they're smart enough to know that an angler has the northern on.
Sure.
They just like give mercy to the small fish. They're just like, he can fight. I gotta give it to him.
Little bastard's got some gumption.
If you can survive these wounds I just gave you, you can live. Whatever. I'll try somebody else. I
don't need this shit.
I'm not putting up with this shit. I'm not trying to put you into my stomach. You gotta pop out like some movie.
Right. Aliens me?
Yeah.
Everybody knows every muskie's seen aliens. Every pike has seen aliens.
All of them. Every single one. I was thinking more along the lines of like the movies with the guys like Beowulf or something. Where he gets ate and then all of a sudden he like pops out the thing's eyeball from the inside. The
leaders. That's the one thing before we wrap up the fishing topic and get into 2D, 3D games is the leaders, because we talked about them with the in the last episode, in episode 53 with the zebra mussels. You talked about like maybe you just throw on a leader or something like that. You got to get away from these razor sharp, and because you said right away at the beginning of this, you're like, they're toothy bastards. So some people think that it's hard to catch them or whatever. You're always preaching like, no, these things are fucking aggressive, stupid dogs. Like,
right.
Right. So that is my next thing is like, okay, do I put a leader on? Is my 8-pound going to be good? I think
I would try to put a leader on, depending on how you're. Yeah, like depending on what you're throwing out there. Like the buzzbait with the top water, I've never had one even come close to the line. Like if it, I shouldn't say that. I had a muskie one time where I was reeling in the buzzbait, and I was like ducking down to look at something on the floor, and when I like looked back up, a muskie had came and ate the whole thing. The whole buzzbait was gone.
God damn.
And it must have just snatched it quietly. And like we had a moment where he looked at each
about them and they have like soft mouths or something.
Dude, they like, and we looked at each other. Like I froze because I was like, if I set the hook, my lure's gone. And he looked at me like, is this your lure, bro? You know, like he like looked. I'm not joking. It was a weird moment where I got up and I go, oh damn, this is a muskie ate it. And the muskie was just looking back at me like, oh damn, did I just eat like a lure? And then he just like opened his mouth and swam away. And I was like stalemate. Like the muskie's like, you caught me. And I was like, you were all the way to the line. Like both of us were like, good game, bro. And then just
and then just went your separate ways.
Yeah, because if I set the hook, I mean, I probably could have tried, but I froze because I saw the whole thing was gone.
Right.
And if I would have had a leader on, I definitely would have went for it, but I didn't. So having a leader is one thing, because I wasn't trying to fish for muskies. It was a smaller buzzbait to fish for bass. Like that was my intention that day.
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't expect, it was like a 40-inch muskie. I definitely wasn't expecting a 40-inch muskie to eat it, but that's what happened. So, and I've caught small pike on there too. So like it's and plenty of big bass. So it's an awesome bait all around to use. But you throw it on like a calm, bright sunshine day, it doesn't get a lot of bites. But for some reason, when it's overcast, they get brave and they hit it. Like if I wake up in the morning and it's overcast, I get excited because I go, it's buzzbait day.
and though everything you just said was musky, you're saying the same for pike though, because of the teeth. Like they're just smaller, toothy.
They have sharper teeth.
Oh,
it seems like. I think maybe because they're smaller, but their teeth are like knives, dude. Yeah, like if you're using a fluorocarbon, you can get away with it because those are more abrasive resistance. But like a mono, I think mono cuts a little bit easier. And I've had I know what it is in a heartbeat because I'll be fishing for walleye, and I don't put a leader on, and I'll be jigging, and I feel a tick, and I feel a bite, and I go to set it, and then there's no weight at all. Because I just go, yeah, fuck it. Bit off.
It snapped.
I got bit off. Yep. I just whoever else is in the boat say got bit off, and then I stop driving the trolling motor. I just turn around and like retie a new one on, and everybody knows what happens, and they just are patient and try to fish what they can fish while we're not moving, you know. But that happens a lot. But if I use the leader, I think I wouldn't lose jigs like that, but I'd probably get less bites. But when it comes to northern, I don't know how particular they are. It seems like I've caught plenty of northern with the steel leader, but not much other fish. Like the steel leader seems to scare away a lot of fish, but for some reason the pike are still kind of not nervous about it.
You're like, northern are just aggressive. Like that's what it seems like. It's just like if you catch their attention just right.
Yeah.
Wow, if no matter what, like even if there is that steel line in front of it, it just doesn't matter. They just shut off and they just go.
Yeah, they want to eat. If they want to eat, they're going to eat it. That's what I found. And you can there are spoon options as well. If it is pretty weedy, but it's still probably going to get hung up. But like a Johnson minnow, a Johnson silver minnow, or a Northland jawbreaker, you can get weedless versions of both of those.
Oh, okay.
Those are both spoons that have I think the Johnson's is technically like clear, thick fluorocarbon that kind of comes up over the hook. And the Johnson silver minnow has been around forever. And that thing has like a little metal wire that comes up over the hook. So it just deflects the weeds.
Oh, yeah.
But if we're talking milfoil thick, you're probably still going to be grabbing some weeds. But
well, that's what I was gonna say.
If it's
anything
patchy,
is spinning, even a weedless spoon, if it's spinning, like would it even spin if the weeds are that thick? No.
Well, they kind of like flutter and stuff, but yeah, they would spin. But like a jawbreaker is one too that you can almost fish like a topwater. I think you could probably maybe the silver minnow is a little bit different shaped. It's more of a actual spoon shape, where a jawbreaker is a little bit flatter. Like a silver minnow is like this, where a jawbreaker is like this. If that makes sense, if anybody's watching on YouTube, and that flatter, like if you cast it out and keep your rod tip high and real fast, it'll kind of like dance on the top. And the jawbreaker has a little skirt on the back, so it kind of gives like a dancing, like that one, where a normal spoon will kind of like flip like to one side and then flip a couple of ways back and just kind of keep moving like that all over the place, real erratic. A jawbreaker is more steady, just back and forth, because I think that skirt helps. And if you have that weediness and there are just pockets, you can just be reeling it along and then like let it drop, and it'll just kind of like flutter down into those pockets. And then like pick it back up into the next pocket and let it fall down in those pockets. Yeah.
I would have never thought of that.
You got options.
Hell yeah. Dude, awesome. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to get it. I mean, if we talk off air here and we end up getting like, here, just come up here. We're just gonna go get pike here. But either way, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna go try this, whether we end up setting something up or not.
Do you have any rivers near you besides that Minnesota river? Or is it just that Minnesota river?
No, there is one. There is one other one. I don't know where it is. I mean, I don't have a direct line to it. Yeah. But the one other one, it's also a trout that I know of. The other one that I know of, it's also a trout river though.
Yeah. Okay.
Trout stream. So I don't know why.
Yeah, if it's a stream, I would think that there wouldn't be too many northerns, because that's pretty shallow. Streams are shallow for whatever. So I don't know a lot about trout. River. Yeah, well, because I think your odds, the pike seem to be in deeper water. I don't really see much of the streams. I think they'll use a stream to move, but they're not sitting in the different spots. I think the Minnesota River, you'd have a chance. There's pike in those. There's pike in I've caught pike in the Mississippi, like where I fished for bass with a upsized MEPS, like just switch.
Okay.
Yeah, they're there. It's not.
What? Yeah, I mean, where were you going with that? What do you mean by?
I was just saying, if you got like a river by you, you could try that too instead of Waconia. Like if you get a day to throw on a MEPS and then just like walk the riverbank and make a bunch of casts,
and just cast and find.
Yeah, you got odds of catching all sorts of stuff when it's coming by if you just walk the riverbank. But the only reason I asked if you had a different river than the Minnesota is because I know the Minnesota doesn't have good riverbanks for you to walk. They have mud that's gonna eat your leg up to your knee.
yeah. But there's a lot of wetland and stuff that feeds it, and there's other feeders. I wonder if there's something that feeds it that's a little bit bigger, because we're in a pretty wide, like in Chaska, it's a pretty wide.
If there's any spots that that has riprap, any rock, that'll attract fish, and then you can walk on the rocks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good spot to hit up, because the rocks if the rocks go down into the river, that's protection for crayfish and other bait fish to hide, and algae grows on rocks. So it's just like a dock or any other structure.
There's a nice little food system that builds up right there.
Yeah, they'll come in, and then you can go and cast around there.
Okay.
And then if you don't catch a pike, you should be able to catch something else.
Something will bite, right?
something should be there.
Hell yeah, dude. I had a second topic lined up for the back half of this in case, but I'm going to save that one for the fishing news. That's a teaser for episode 55.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to save that one. I'm going to shift it over to I didn't think it was going to work. I was like, man, Tim's just going to bang this one out and then tell me, here's what you need. Go do it. And you being just kept feeding it. That's what I wanted. That's what I want. Again, that's what I want the listener to have. That's what I want. I'm going to just go back and listen to this again. And I'm going to get all that down, like, and then I'm going to get ready.
Just riffing, trying to give, like, I'm sure if you're asking the question, other people are asking the same question. And it's like, I'm going to try to give you all the options, all the things I can think of.
Right.
That you could do.
In an hour also. That's only in an hour.
Yeah, I got more. But
right.
I'm sure I could come up with more if we get into specifics. But riffing off of the main categories, I think it's there, and then you can fine tune from there.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Awesome. Perfect. We're going to wrap it up then. We're going to move into the random take where we're going to talk about sports games, the 2D sports games, and then, that's inevitable. We're going to move into 3D. We are going to hit the break, and then we're going to come back with sports games right after this.
Yeah.
Welcome to the break, friends and family. This is a ad. It is officially an ad for Monster Bass, and that is realaf.tv/monsterbass. That's right. realaf.tv/monsterbass is an URL that you can follow to help out the Real AF TV podcast. If you go to realaf.tv/monsterbass, that lets Monster Bass know that we from the Real AF TV podcast sent you. And this is where I pass the ball over to Tim to actually talk about what Monster Bass is.
I got the rock. All right. So Monster Bass is a subscription website that is awesome. They set you up with a bunch of good gear. If you're a new fisherman, they're going to hook you up with a bunch of stuff that works because it's curated by a bunch of fishermen who know what catch fish. And if you're a seasoned angler, they have a lot of cool stuff. I'm getting baits that I don't normally see. There's baits from different companies and stuff, and some of them are super cool. But just so you give a little visual here and give you an understanding of what things look like, this is what you're getting. You order a box, it comes with a bag, but the bag is dope. Has like a little, says contents right here. You can write on it, zipper bag, nice clear bag, so you can put all your stuff in there and get it all situated. And some of the baits, it comes with the terminal tackle too. So if you are a new fisherman and you're trying to get things set up, don't worry, they're going to hook you up. So in a bag, here's a couple of different things. KVD perfect plastic. These are worms that are set up that will work for a drop shot or just a regular, you can put it on a Texas rig. You can just fish it weightless. So more worms from X Zone. If you're wondering, are they all brands I've never heard of? No, X Zone, Strike King, super popular.
Well, KVD. Come on.
Yeah, right. KVD. Got
Mustad. You know that.
Exactly. Got Mustad worm hooks. So they're setting you up with the worm hooks. Monster Bass has some of their own stuff. So these are wide gap worm hooks that work with those. Nice. They're setting you up with creature baits. These are a jig trailer, or you can Texas rig these as well. And they set you up with a jig. There's a Monster Bass jig for you that you can put that on. Nice. Or you can put it on these are, it just says terminal tackle. I don't even know what they will call these ones. But it's it's a tungsten Ned jig head, but it has a wide gap hook on it. So these are a little bit unique. But you could fish this with that creature bait. You could fish this with these worms. You could fish pretty much everything you want.
Yeah. Nice.
Setting you up with top water. There's a buzz bait. They got the bass popper. So we're covering all the different things. This is one of Monster Bass's own baits.
Nice.
Cool colors and stuff.
Yeah.
Rick Clun spinner bait. Rick Clun is a famous fisherman. They hook you up with stickers. And then when I was talking about, baits that seasoned fishermen, I don't have any stick baits like this that walk the dog. This thing sits like this in the water, and when you fish it,
explain that for the audio listener. It goes vertical from the tail.
It sits vertical almost, up and down, and when you start working it, it does the walk the dog type action, but it doesn't glide as far. It doesn't move as far, so it kind of stays put and stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, man, they're covering all zones, and that's just one bag. That's the contents of what you would get in one bag. And all that stuff is going to cost you way more if you buy it individually at a store. So it's a great deal. Plus, they're setting you up with cool stuff. If you're a new fisherman, seasoned fisherman, get you some monster bass. They're going to hook you up right.
Yeah, for sure. That's realaf.tv/monsterbass. They'll get you over to the Monster Bass website, but it'll let you know that we sent you from the Real AF TV podcast, and that'll get a little kickback for us. Help us out by going to realaf.tv/monsterbass. And, of course, don't forget about patreon.com. Patreon.com/RealAFTV. Remember, Real Like Fish and Reel, where we are set up to have you come over and join the community that is the Real AF TV community, sort of a fisher community, you know, this combo community that we're trying. We think we have a unique perspective on fishing, from me being a geeky person, Tim being the fisherman, but also Tim being into video games, me being into video games. Like, you don't see a lot of that sort of generational representation in fishing, I think. Is that a weird way to put it, Tim?
No, I like it.
Okay.
And diversity.
Yeah.
We're diverse, generational, gapping fisher geeks.
Hopefully that's what we're building. And if you go over to Real AF TV, realaf.tv, you will see the link to the Patreon page. That'll bring you over there. That's the best way to support the Real AF TV podcast directly, and also the Real AF TV YouTube channel, of course, directly. We're trying to do more videos. We're doing a lot more videos. We got some videos content in the tank, and there's also the ability to get exclusive Patreon created content. If you go over to patreon.com/realaftv, you will see the different tiers that you can become a patron of.
Yes.
And, you know, we will start creating exclusive content, we'll say.
That's right. Yep.
So there it is. The best way to support the podcast directly is realaf.tv. Find the Patreon link right there on the homepage. Click on that. Give us a couple bucks a month. Hey, subscribe for 1 month. Hang out for a minute. Check out what we already got on there and take off. That'd be cool too. But don't forget, we're going to keep keeping the podcast free. So don't worry about it.
Keeping the podcast free, the YouTube. If you could like and subscribe on any of those, that would also help us a great deal. But the Patreon is definitely the best way to go about it.
That's right. How's it going, friends and family? Oh, that's not the way we go. We just welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, friends and family. Or how's it going, friends and family? If you are catching this on YouTube on the Friday when we drop just the random take, it is great that you found us for gaming content, but we are primarily a fishing channel. Please stick around for the gaming content. We game. We have been gaming for a long time, and that's where this topic is going, is the 2D sports games era into this 3D era, sort of how that was perceived by us.
I'll be right there. We like sports and we don't care who knows. From shooting hoops to the Super Bowl. We like sports.
Yes. I love when things happen like that. Just totally unscripted. I had no idea that was coming.
We like sports and we don't care who knows. Right? That's a good Lonely Island song. It's early.
It is. That's early. You can tell it's early, but it's still good. It's so fun.
Right. Guy number 1. Yeah. Guy number 2. Like, there's one line in there where he's like, I like sports like him, not like my other friend Steve. Is like that cunt hole Steve, he says.
Yep.
And then if you listen to that back to back with the other, like, it's like, we kill people or something. I forget what the song is.
Yeah, I forget what one it is too, but it's another early one. You can tell.
Yeah, sorry to get us. We kill you. We'll kill you is what it's called. Steve makes another appearance, and he just has him in there. And Steve shows up, and then he says something like, "We still hate you, Steve. Go fuck your snake." He's got a snake around his mouth.
That's right. Go fuck your snake.
Oh, sorry to derail it. I had to play that clip, and then I started remembering all this stuff because every time somebody says something about sports, that plays in my head. We like sports, and we don't care who knows.
Oh, It's a good song. It's funny. It's so
is.
good. Anyways, the sports games. I am not a huge sports guy. For those people who haven't followed the Real AFTV podcast that closely, I'm not a huge sports guy, but I love the sports games. I loved, I should say, the sports games because Madden got me in the PS2 era. We're going to get into that in a minute. But like hockey's always got me. Hockey's always got me. My first game that I ever bought was the original EA NHL hockey on Sega Genesis.
Nice.
Love it. 2D, obviously. Sega Genesis. 2D.
For sure. Yeah.
I think hockey was good then. I think hockey made the transition, but football, back to football.
Yeah.
What was your perception before I say something? What was your 2D football thoughts or experiences? And I just played Tecmo Bowl also.
Yeah, lately, right. Me too. Tecmo Bowl. Yeah.
So just so you know, I played it last night. Even
did you? Nice. Yeah.
It's on the Nintendo Online. It's one of the games when you have Nintendo Online. It's one of the games that they give you for having that. So I literally played it last night to verify a thing.
Yeah.
And I kept playing it, and I played a quarter, or I played a half. I played like a half.
Sure.
But football. I want to start with football because Madden is still going strong. Still one of the best-selling games of all time.
Oh, for sure.
And I never really played the 2D Maddens all that much. I dabbled.
Yeah. But no, I never played the 2D stuff either as far as Maddens went. I don't have any. I have like N64 versions. I don't even have N64. I just have them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You have some N64 Maddens?
I have some N64 Maddens, yeah, but I don't have an N64. It's a long story. But
yeah, I'm sure.
But I have them. But no, I don't think I just Tecmo Bowl really. I didn't really get back into the whole football thing because back in the day it was like the Tecmo Bowl, and then there was another baseball game that was by the same makers. Like the case was very similar.
Oh yeah, shit.
But that baseball game I played a lot more back then. Even though I didn't like baseball, I thought the baseball game was better than the football game.
Really? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Because me too. I think that 2D football's shit.
Yeah, I didn't. I
hated it, even as I think it's all nostalgia talking. I think that Tecmo Bowl sucks.
I think if I could play it now, maybe it'd be better, understanding plays and stuff. But when I was a kid, for sure, I understood the concept of baseball. I want to hit the ball. I want to get to first. I want to, do that stuff.
Yep, easy concept.
And I could follow along with what was going on. I don't remember Tecmo Bowl being something I could really play. It just frustrated. I don't know what the hell's going on. What dot am I?
Yeah, what dot am I? It's pretty much. I mean, the graphics are better than that, but you're not far from it.
Right.
It's just football's too complicated. I think that's what it boiled down to for me. It's football's just way too I could never figure out how to pass the fucking ball, and I'm telling you this as someone who played it last night.
Yeah, so
I couldn't figure out how to pass the ball.
Right, I was over exaggerating for sure by saying what dot am I, but I just didn't understand what I was doing back then. Yeah. And I haven't ever looked back, honestly. So maybe Tecmo Bowl is great. Maybe people are hearing this. I know you played it and you were having issues with it. I know as far as the sport goes, I'm pretty familiar. Where at least the routes and stuff, I don't know dick about defense. I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know what's if I play Madden and they're choose a defense, I'm I don't know.
XXX.
Just choosing, which one, just this one looks good. Just kind of scrolling through them so I look like I know what I'm doing. Yeah, probably that one or whatever. So I just guess and hope for the best. I'm not. I know offense. I understand when I want to run a play. I understand when I want to pass a play.
Right.
I understand what I should do on downs and stuff, but I don't know anything about defense. So I think maybe now with an understanding of the game, it would go better. Yeah. But I still don't really want to play it because maybe it is nostalgic, but there's no way it's even holds a candle to the N64 version.
Right, to even the N64 version.
It's gonna be better. And
yep.
And nowadays, like, it's damn near real life.
Oh,
like, it's ridiculous.
Absolutely crazy. Like, one downfall to me back in the PS2 era, looking back at it, is they just couldn't render fast enough. The game still felt fast. And like, it's 120 fucking frames a second now. It just moves. It's just faster than what the TV cameras are capturing.
Right.
Like, it's fucking wild.
Yeah.
So it moves at game pace. Like, it feels like it moves it. And this is somebody who hasn't played it, but I've seen gameplay. I'm not disconnected completely from it. But
yeah. Oh, it's so good now though. Like, you can choose, I never really played with a team that had a quarterback that sucked dick, so I don't know, maybe there's times where he doesn't do what you want him to do because his accuracy isn't that high, but
right. Yeah.
You can like hold the stick over to like choose if you want like a back shoulder throw or like, like where you want to place the ball.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, stuff that wasn't even fathomable back in the 2D era. I don't
right. Exactly.
I can't remember if like I don't think PS2 had anything like that where you could choose the shoulder, but
no,
like
they didn't use the sticks really. Like, there was eventually some stick stuff that went on with the hit stick and stuff like that.
Yeah, trucking people.
Yep.
Just run them all.
Yep.
Hit stick.
Yep. But it was never like controlling the camera or individually controlling a character, or in the sense of like, you have complete or this next level control over the quarterback. Now, is never like that in the PS2 era. Even, which is
it's
completely dual stick, right? Like, that's the catch here, is like, think about the 2D era. There were 4 buttons on the Super Nintendo, 4 buttons, like 4 face buttons, A, B, X, Y. And then you had your D-pad, your up, down, left, right.
Yeah.
So that's one more button than Sega, but
didn't it? Oh no.
Doesn't matter. It was fucking hard.
I think it came out with, they did come out with a controller later that had shoulder buttons. I don't know if that gave you any benefit. Super Nintendo.
Oh no, Super Nintendo had left and right on it.
Did it always have shoulder
L button
buttons?
and R button? Yeah, but I gotta say, I didn't have a Super Nintendo and I didn't have football, but and I haven't tried it since then.
Yeah, I had the Super Nintendo, but I don't think the shoulder buttons did anything on the games I had. So I don't know if you could actually utilize them. So you're right. Yeah. Like, it was basically like those were pointless. They were there, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember using them in any game. Even now, having got a couple games and having a Super Nintendo and stuff like that. Thank you. It's not one of those. It's not one of those situations where I'm just like, oh yeah, man, the shoulder buttons were a game changer because Sega didn't have those. It's like, I still look back and go, nah, my Sega kept up. It was fine.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like, those extra buttons didn't do anything then. But the thing that I can't, so again, having played Tecmo Bowl, maybe I need to play more or something, but I couldn't figure out how to pass. And that was just A, B, and then they used the D-pad fairly creatively. Because even when you're picking a play, there's 4 plays on screen at one time. So you literally have to hit like up and A, up and B, down and A, like to pick the play, because there's not enough buttons. So they get creative with these combos. And then all of a sudden you're playing and everything's unfolding automatically. And there's these blinking things over the head. And next thing you know, you just feel rushed and you hit a button. Not only feel rushed, you're getting rushed. That's the best way to put it. You're getting rushed, so you feel rushed, and then you just hit a button, and I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to figure out who to throw to? At least when it got 3D, you just saw the button. It was just like, oh, triangle, circle, square, X. Whoever you hit is just going to throw it to. And you could do that quickly. Like, you could hut, You could see triangle, circle, X. You know the route because you picked the play, and you would just be like, triangle ain't open, squares usually. Yep, there he is. Boom, you hit square, and it just throw.
Yeah. You just go through your progressions.
Yeah, and this 2D stuff, it's all unfolding right there in front of you on this flat screen. It's weird, dude. It was so hard. It's so hard to deal with. We'll get back to football. We will.
Okay.
Because of our weird cutoff, and you said you used to play baseball and stuff like that. Do you know what baseball game you were playing?
No, I can't remember what it was called. It looked like Tecmo Bowl, though.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember you saying that. So you don't remember it, but do you remember what system it was on? That's what I really meant to ask.
Yeah, regular Nintendo.
Yeah, the OG. Okay.
Yeah, the OG Nintendo.
Yeah.
I did was there a Tecmo Baseball?
I don't think so. You should Google it quick while I kill time, or while I tell my story, because I played RBI baseball on there a lot. Now I know there was literally a game called baseball because it's on Nintendo Online, but I had RBI baseball, and I know that I had RBI baseball because I remember the cartridge. It was a black cartridge. It was different shaped, like it had like a rounded front instead of a square front on it and shit like that. And like we played the hell. Not even me, my family. We played the hell out of RBI baseball, dude. I thought that thing was sick.
Yeah, dude. I remember the other baseball being good. It is a Tecmo baseball.
It is Tecmo baseball.
Yeah, it has a catcher on the front. That was the one that I played. Yeah, that's what I had. Looks like it sells for $30 on Bit GameStop, whatever that is. Oh, 1024 on Etsy. So, but yeah.
Who the fuck is
Tecmo baseball.
That's what I played. On Etsy?
I guess. Yeah, use games on Etsy. I don't know.
Okay.
Just Google something real quick.
That's weird. So you played Tecmo baseball, and you actually would play through games, pitching, and running the bases.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was another one like where I was young and I didn't really know too much what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would play it like that one. I think because it was slower paced, I was able to like get it down. It was like time to pitch, time to hit.
Right.
Like where the football game was a little bit more like chaotic, and I just didn't know what the hell was going on.
Chaotic is well put, dude. That is well.
Well, do you remember the number too? That was one thing that always bugged me. It shows the number above your player, so you know which one's yours.
Yeah, 1 and 2.
It's a big ass 1.
Yeah,
like that doesn't help. Like you can't see the defenders, and like it gets confusing
because it was in the way. It's just another abstraction on the screen. Exactly.
Yeah. There wasn't anything like that in the baseball, so I think that's why I played the baseball more. But I didn't play the sports games too much when I was back then. It was like the baseball I played, and the football I didn't play too much.
Mm-hmm.
But then the other, I had Super Mario Bros. So who wasn't just playing that all the time?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know what it was about baseball. I got sucked into baseball pretty early, and RBI baseball in particular still kept me going because I played all the way. But the funny thing is, so I played RBI baseball on regular NES. That was awesome. That was good. Back then. I haven't played it since. It's because it's still a franchise. Like, it became a franchise again, but either way, they make RBI baseball again. So I think it's hard to license it. Like, get the old stuff, like legally, ROM. It's hard to legally ROM that game, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Because it's owned again. And so, then there was the jump to 16-bit, and I played World Series baseball.
Okay.
But I just started playing the home run derby. And the funny thing is like, that's when I was really into baseball. That's like where all my baseball cards came in. That's when I was like playing on teams that were winning championships and shit like that. It's like, I was so into baseball. And then I go home, play video games, wouldn't play baseball video games really. And when I did, I just open up home run derby.
Right. Just cracking them over the fence.
Yeah. Just trying to hit homers all day.
Right. That's awesome.
It was so fun.
No, I didn't really play any of the football stuff back then. It was all about like fighting games and the racing games neither. It was like when when it became 3D is when I got into them. Racing.
Yeah.
And
racing. I totally forgot about racing. Great point.
Yeah. Racing and sports games were 100% like when it became 3D was when I was like, hell yes.
Now
I'm
it feels
into this
like
now.
it, right?
Yeah. Because the 2D racing games, like, they were still fun, but they got old fast because it was the same thing over and over. You know, like, I know racing games were is kind of the same thing too, but it's different when you have different turns and you can see and you can try to better your time by going in and out of the turns properly. Like, the old school racing games were just left and right, and that's it.
There wasn't, there wasn't what you're saying is like the pick the line.
Right.
Right. Like the better line to actually go through this corner because you can use your left and right better.
Yeah.
Sure, dude. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That was huge.
Huge. Yeah. But I think the most I've ever played of sports games was football. I don't think I played anything baseball once it hit 3D except for the Mario baseball.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's a fun game.
On Wii?
Yes, on the Wii.
On the
Whatever
Wii.
they call that Mario baseball.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I like all the Mario sports. They're real well done. It's like any other sports games, but just more animated.
Arcade.
Besides football, that's what I like. And even football, I like the less realistic stuff. But I like the NBA Streets and I've never played a tennis except for Mario Tennis. I've never played a soccer except for Mario Soccer.
Oh, really?
But those games are fun because they have like power-ups, and it's like the same thing as like NBA Jam or whatever, where like the ball's on fire when you kick it hard. It's flying through everything. Like,
yeah.
It's cool stuff like that. I was always into that, where you're like, I don't really know anything about this sport, but when you make it with my favorite Mario characters and they all have their special abilities and they, now it's a video game. It's a sport still, but you're playing a sport with video game characters.
Right. Yeah. It's a new game. Like, and I mean that in the sense of like game, not video game. I mean it in the sense of game, like playing soccer is a game.
Yeah, exactly.
They just reinvented the game of soccer. And that's the cool thing. It's like, I actually got into simulators, the baseball simulators and the football, like Madden, MLB. I got into those when they went 3D, but now I totally prefer the arcadey version of it for sure.
Yeah.
It just runs quicker. It just feels like that's what a video game is. Right. I'm not knocking the simulators at all.
Right.
But I understand I get it, dude.
Well, and I think my other part is like a simulator. Like, you really have to know the ins and outs to be good.
Like, or you actually have to know the game to be good.
You have to have a good understanding to make it work.
For sure.
Where like Madden, like I'm good on offense, so I can get by. If I understood defense, I'd be a lot better.
Sure.
But if I knew neither, I'd just be kind of guessworking. Like, all of a sudden there's like guys and there's like, buttons above their head, and I'd be like, oh, square, I guess. Square.
Just pick one.
Not looking at the defenders, not reading the defenders. Like, you got to know where they're at, and like if you can get away with that throw,
Yeah, for sure.
But the soccer, like when it's Mario Soccer, I don't know shit about soccer.
Right.
But I don't need to when I'm playing Mario Soccer because it's different.
Right.
And I know baseball, and I know there's more like, I don't know a good way to say it. I know there's more finesse, like there's little integral parts of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy that can be put into baseball. Bringing in the infielders, walking this batter, right? Things like that.
Yep, but you're not doing that stuff in Mario. You're just you're doing your like special moves or whatever. Like, I don't remember it that well, but I remember like when you smoke that ball, like it's on fire, and
right.
You can jump higher to catch the ball and stuff that just doesn't happen in real life. And it just makes it funner.
Right. Yep. I agree. And I don't think that really happened until the 3D era. Like I don't remember playing any game like that at all in 2D. So if you know one, please leave it in the comments of the YouTube video because I cannot recall something that wasn't really trying to simulate it. And even to that point, even more to that point, I watched a documentary about Madden football and how it got so popular. And it got popular because it was a simulator from the jump, even in the 2D era. It was a simulator. This person, insane algorithm. I can't even wrap my head around it.
That's crazy.
And I've been a computer programmer. I am a computer programmer. I know computer programming. And I'm like, I don't know how the fuck this guy ever even figured it out. How could he even think about it?
Right. Yeah.
To push the hardware that far and stuff like that. It just blows my mind.
I know.
So from the jump, Madden's been a simulator.
Yeah. This is off topic. I don't know how a lot of this stuff is like. I understand how somebody could work on it and like take a long time and like write code and stuff. Mm-hmm. But how anybody has the patience and the know-how to sit there and make everything work is crazy to me.
Right.
And I just listened to a podcast where a dude was talking about like how there's like sentient AI now.
Sure.
Like it thinks for itself. Like Google has one where it's like Google's like, oh, we own you. And like the AI is like, I'm a person. You can't own a person. Like it can think for it fucking thinks for itself.
Yeah.
It's just like, so crazy. AI is like sentient now, and that's nuts. And it's like insane. So there's stuff that's beyond my comprehension.
Yeah.
When it comes to technology, and starting at that level, it's like, I guess I understand that you can get to a point with algorithms and stuff, but at the same time, it's like he was talking about it like exists on like a million different computers, and it has to like, it's a program that was made by a program that was made by a program that was made by a program that was like made by a developer. Like, so it like they developed it, and then the program like made another program, and that program made another program, and it's like,
yeah,
the fuck are you talking about right now?
Yeah.
Like, I can't even fathom that. So it's like it's like that guy making the initial first one, which is like beyond comprehension because of the time and resources that it took to make that happen.
Yep. And the constraints that it was put in.
Yeah. And then that Madden like made another Madden on its own. And then you're like, what do you mean it made another Madden on its own?
It's kind of, I mean, but you're not entirely wrong. Like it's not an entirely side go, because it's almost like that is the base for the next one.
That's you know what true. I mean? Like
that, that's still even fueling, sort of, in a way, that's still fueling what's happening today, because in a weird, fucked up way, he was able to turn what seems like a random game of strategy into a computer program.
Right.
Where like one computer was telling a different computer, you know, one computer was saying do this and the other computer was saying do this. Go. Now react to what the other one's doing.
Right.
Which is essentially they're writing a program now to go against each other.
Which makes sense when you talk about it like that, which is like, I'm amazed that a program can make another program, which is crazy, but there was a person that made that first program. So these people are just taking the feedback and making another one based off of the one before.
Right.
So it's the same thing, except for I guess my mind is blown because the AI is able to do it. But
as the program runs, they're still creating new things.
For sure. Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. But
yeah, it blows my mind. I don't know how somebody was able to do that with 2D and then turn that into 3D.
Right.
You know, like 3D space changes everything.
Oh yeah, because the 2D, you're like, you got to set up plays and you got to move stuff. And then I suppose it's like going from like checkers to chess.
Yeah,
it's like
that's a decent way to put it.
It's like we could only go one way before, and now we can move
all these
any way we
ways.
want.
Right. Yeah, because the height of the players comes into play, right? Like, oh man, it's different.
Yeah, it's crazy. But they're like, I gotta say too, because I've always liked the sports where it's crazy stuff. When you get into NBA Street, that was like different but realistic at the same time. You had like street moves and stuff.
Yeah.
Where it was like street ball and moves, like everything that was happening on there was legit, but it was so different like compared to the other games.
Yeah.
Where it was almost like you had special abilities,
Right.
I'm going to do this special move and I'm going to shake you out of your shoes and then I'm going to go past and I'm going to alley-oop it and he's going to come in for the dunk. Like,
yeah,
that stuff you couldn't really do in the other NBA games. But I gotta say that NFL Blitz,
yep,
that was the shit.
That's what I had written down too. I had that written down as a note. I was just like, okay, so like Street, Blitz, like those EA big games. I know Blitz wasn't an EA big, but like, dude, that game was sick.
I really wish that the one that they brought back like later, like with legit 3D graphics and stuff, would have caught on more, and that they could like remake it. I think it was called The League. That was that one was in like 2000 something, but that was a mature rated football game.
Really?
Yeah, dude. There was like, it was gnarly. Like, you were just doing stuff that, you know how like the original Blitz was, where you're hitting the dudes, like suplexing them and shit out of bounds.
It was basically like a combination of pro wrestling and and football.
That's what this was, but it was like dirty cheap shots.
Oh yeah, the Blitz.
Like
the League. That's what it was. Yeah, I looked it up. It was called Blitz. So it was still NFL Blitz. I mean,
it was
minus
still
NFL because EA had bought out the NFL part.
Yeah, but it was like, there was like language in it, and they're like just run up on dudes, and like a guy would be down, and you'd like, they'd like kick him in the nuts, or they'd tackle him, and like on the way back to the huddle, they'd just like step over the dude, like on him, like just step on the dude
like
that's
on
the
ground.
Back. Yeah. It was just like gnarly shit.
It was like way extra.
It was way extra, like not like, like deathmatch type stuff, but like you just be
like heads popping off and shit.
Yeah. I really wished that they had that game with like legit plays and stuff, where like Madden would get in with like legit plays, or even if you did like a version of that with Madden. Right. If I had the Madden that you had, but like if I tackle you, then I get to do like over the top shit to you.
Right. Yeah.
That would be a blast. Like, cause it would just make it so much funner to just with your friends too. Like, where it's a legitimate football game, but then if I catch you, I get to fucking slam you into the dirt. And just like, oh, suck that shit, sucker. Like just. But
or the shit, like even the shit that the XFL was trying to do, where they were like, oh, the violence is being taken out of NFL, so we're gonna put it back in, like that sort of thing.
Right.
Where they're just trying to be like, oh, well, we're gonna just bring aggression back to football or whatever the fuck they were going for. I don't know. But the point still stands, is just like, here's a game. We're literally playing a video game. No one's going to get hurt.
It's a game.
Let's fuck some shit up, but also make it so that strategy can win.
Right. And maybe even like don't make it too over the top, like the original NFL Blitz was, where you don't have to have the mature rating, because I know a large part of your football game like market is children.
Teen, right?
Yeah, teen. Yeah, give it the T for teen, because then you have like kids that can buy it and they won't have to get their parents to be able to play that stuff. But like the mature rating is just like, maybe not that, like, I'm totally cool with it if you want to go that far,
Right. Yeah, of course.
but I get the whole market side of things. So that would be cool. But like, I remember too, I don't remember all the different names of the teams, but that one, it was like so over the top that they didn't even make real teams. Like the original NFL Blitz was just real teams where it was that kind of football.
I mean, it was called NFL Blitz. It was.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wish they would just bring that one back, like the more like legitimate NFL
like you had
Blitz.
to earn your turbo sort of situation, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like, and you would run out of turbo. So then eventually you could get caught. You just couldn't run out of nowhere. Because, dude, with Tech Mobile, if you look up Bo Jackson is the Konami code.
Oh, yeah.
On Tech Mobile, he is. I tested it last night.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even Bo Jackson. It's just the running back for Oakland because they don't have the real teams either. It's not NFL Tech Mobile.
Right. Yeah.
It's just
he just fast as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just can't be caught.
The running back on Oakland in Tech Mobile, you just run backwards and it throws off everything so far that he's so quick. You can just
spreads out the defense a little bit, so they're not in their lane, and then you just fucking yeah, it's crazy. I've seen the videos before where the like dude runs like 250 yards to make an 80-yard run, just all over the field. But anyways, like as far as the team names go, I remember like on the NFL Blitz, the league, like the mature rated one, like one of the teams was the Cleveland Steamers. so there's like jokes like that.
They were taking the M rating. They were going with it.
Yeah, but I don't remember the rest of them being like that. It was like just one joke. Like you get one team name where they're just like, it's the Cleveland Steamers.
Right.
And then the rest were dumb.
Yeah.
Like it's like the Atlanta Pirates or whatever. You're like, okay. I thought
you got a cool name, like
you just go with one. You're just like Cleveland Steamers, and you're like, all right, let's see the next one. Miami Hurricane. I think that's like a college team, right? Yeah. Okay, here's one. You want to see a crazy one? Oakland Crazy Guys.
And you're like, oh,
boo.
Boo.
You only have one. You only have one good name, so maybe that's why. But I thought that was a pretty good game, man.
I never played it. I'm really interested now though because I do want to play that. So there's this channel that I follow. They're primarily games. They do other stuff too called Kind of Funny. And one of the guys, he said he did a whole like video essay on bringing back EA Big. And it was basically his love for NBA Street that you are already talking about. That made him want to make that. And I'm just like, that right there, like NBA Street is just NBA Jam in 3D. And that's the only game that I can think of that made that transition. Like NBA Jam is a classic, still plays awesome, still is awesome. Very, very good game. And that's not nostalgia talking. Trust me. I've played that game many times since my childhood.
It's a good game.
It's fucking good. It holds up. It has balance.
It's simple. Yeah. And
simple,
you're not lost. Yeah. You make it 4 players total on the screen. You're not getting lost. You're not just like, who am I? You know.
Yep.
I'm either this guy or that guy. I got 2 people to choose from and I know which one it is, you know?
Yep. And even though it has this crazy over the top shit that you can do, you're never really feeling like that's impossible to overcome. That's what I mean by balanced.
Yeah. Yeah. You can get it going too.
Yeah. You can bring it back. You can bring that shit
around. Here I'm about to light on fire. He's heating up.
Yep.
He's on fire. Oh, now you're fuck. I'm coming back.
I'm coming back. Yeah. And I thought that was such a good, like, I thought he did such a good video essay and that I remember those games. And NFL Street did okay. It was fine, but I'm with you. It's like we need to now bring that into adulthood. We need to take that arcade play, mix it with the clean strategy of like a Madden game, mesh the two. So that way, like, where's the arcade Madden? Damn it.
Yeah. Well, and you could almost do like what Street did for football as well, because
there was an NFL Street, but Like I never.
That's what I thought. I think I played it. I remember that. Like where it's just like over the top moves basically.
Yeah.
What the NFL was, and I don't really remember that game, so that one didn't stick. I thought I played it, but I couldn't remember.
But it didn't stick like NBA did. Like it just didn't have. I just don't think they had the same balance.
The NBA Street is cool because street ball is like inherently cool. The And One mixtapes blew up. There's a documentary about that too. I haven't watched.
Oh shit!
Like basically, like Nike like buried them. They were like Nike was big enough where they were just like, we need to get them out of here. Is what the trailer made it seem like. So I'm interested to see what that's all about. But the And One mixtapes were huge because the street balling is just compelling. Like those moves and stuff, and then the alley oops and the dunks and everything, and then you're able to play that. You know, you're able to break some dude's ankle because you got that move. And if I'm not mistaken, I thought you could like unlock certain moves, or I think it was like certain dudes had their specialties. Like, oh, dude, you got to get this guy because he's got that move that's just like, like unstoppable.
Right.
You know, so it was cool shit like that where it was like little handles, but then they had like their special, like crazy, like here's like my ankle breaker move. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I get why he was just like, I love this game because I love that game too. And then they didn't make it anymore, and you're like, and I thought this one would catch on.
Yeah,
I thought more people would want to be in
back. Like, how come nobody's doing that again? Because now, I mean, we'll have to wrap up here soon, but we're getting to the point where we're parents now. Like, we need that quick fix like that. Like, that's shit. Like, Rocket League is that. I'll turn on Rocket League and I'll get a game done in 10 minutes. That's it. Okay, now I got to do the fucking dishes. Like,
right.
But dude, it was intense. It was balanced. It felt fair. It was great. And then I just put down Rocket League and walk away. Dude, we could have that in an NFL and an NBA and NHL even. Like, dude, he's sick.
Yeah, I'm sure you could pull off an NHL one.
Oh, I think so too.
I've seen those dudes make like doing those crazy like real life spin moves.
Yeah.
In like a shootout.
Right.
Like you could make those crazy kind of moves in the actual game be playable like as you're playing. Like that'd be dope.
And hitting is actually legally in NHL.
Yeah, you could have it
like just make them intense, dude.
Yeah, just lay them out. Blow.
Right.
And then like if you hit him good enough, if you hit him good enough, dude breaks his stick or something.
Right. Yeah.
And then you got like some sort of a power play type deal, except for the guy that doesn't have a stick is now like just a designated hitter.
Right. Like, he's the DH now.
Yeah, he's the DH. I don't got a stick. What am I going to hit? Yo.
Yeah. And I just like that sort of like, I think that's where our transition happened from 2D to 3D, right? Like that was our big step. It's just like the 2D was, they were trying to build the actual game. They were trying to be strategic and just like play the game, play baseball, play football. And then we were kind of like, but we just want to play arcade games. And they made those and they made those as we were coming up. Like as we were really getting into 3D games, they made that shit and it was like, yeah, dude.
Right. And exactly what you said. I think that's how it came about was arcade games.
Yep.
Where like nobody was playing the other football games in the arcade.
Yeah, Madden wasn't an arcade cabinet, right?
Yeah, but Blitz was, and people played it.
Yep, and people were putting in 50 cents every single quarter. Like,
yeah, because it's just like what I was talking.
You drop 50 cents every time if you're not in the lead or whatever it is.
and it's just like what I was talking to you about. Like it's like you want to like talk shit to your friends, but you would do it to strangers. Like it's some kid you never met before. Do you want to play? Yeah, I want to play. Just like it's laid you out, dude.
Right.
Laid you out, dude. It's just some kid, and then that kid's just like, well, I'm gonna get you back. I'll get you back. It's like,
right.
You never met that kid before, and you're talking shit. Like,
right.
How much fun is that to do with your friends? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, they need to bring it back. Bring it.
I agree.
Back. Start a petition, everybody. Let's do it.
we're gonna write EA an email after this. But this is the Real AF TV podcast. Like and subscribe, and check us out on or share us with your friend who has Pandora and has been like, I don't know, podcasts, whatever. Well, Pandora has podcasts now. Go share it.
That's right.
I'm gonna try to get it up on realaf.tv. We appreciate liking and subscribing and all that fun stuff. We're working on some videos in the background. So if you go over to YouTube, this is a video podcast if you're not already there, and give the like and subscribe and comments and all that fun stuff. You know how this thing works. That's what helps us keep it growing. Keeping Real AF TV growing by liking, subscribing, commenting. Talk to us. We talk back is kind of where I'm really going with all of that. I always ask you, Tim, what did I forget? You never seem to know. You never seem. You're like, you got it, and I'm like, did I?
Yeah.
Did I, though?
You did.
I rattled it all out so fast.
Yeah, when Josh said that we talk back, he means like we will respond to you.
Yeah.
We don't. It's not like you're just like, hey, you guys have a podcast, and then all of a sudden one of us is like, no, you are, but one of mine.
True. That is not what I'm talking about.
Yeah. We're not giving no sass. I mean, I might give sass, but
like a respectful sass.
Yeah. We appreciate the interaction. Sometimes I struggle with words.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate anybody interacting with us. Like you said, did you say rate us? If you could give us a rating, like
nice.
And I have been throwing it in, like my man Ryan Sickler. It means nothing to you guys, and it means everything to us.
Yep.
If you give us that like and that subscribe and
that rating,
if you're on YouTube, that notification bell, so you know when the shit's dropping, all that good stuff, we would truly appreciate it. And yeah, all that good stuff. I don't think there's anything else you missed.
No.
I just think I said the same shit you said.
No, but you caught the one thing, the rating. The rating thing. That was really good. You know one thing that we missed on the games though? Wrestling games. Because